Call the city council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore.
Present.
Felder.
Here.
Hayter. Stilgrave. Vining. Germaini. Mayor Clark.
Present, and ask we all please rise to the invocation. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
As we come together this evening, help us engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group and nurture the bonds of community.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item, please.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of the regular agenda, and I did want to call attention to, there is no item 14, that just was a typo from the programming, so we probably need to remove that from the agenda.
Manager Robinson, any comments on the agenda?
Nothing besides item 14. It looks like it was added accidentally. If we could remove that, I would ask.
Comments on the agenda? If not, motion with recognition to the removal. Councilman Lamore.
Your Honor, I make a motion that we approve the agenda as written and subtract item number 14.
Motion by Councilman Lamore, supported by Councilwoman Stilgrave, to approve the regular agenda as stated with the amendment. Clerk, please call the roll.
Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Hayter? Stilgrave? Vining? Germaini? Mayor Clark.
Yes. Next item, please.
Item on the agenda is the consent agenda, and for item B, approval of payments to vendors in the amount of, it should read $1,861,972.07, 1861972.07.
Thank you. Are there any items on the consent agenda that council wishes to have pulled for further discussion? Any items on the consent agenda? Seeing none, are there any items on the consent agenda, those present here this evening, wish to have pulled for further discussion? Items on the consent agenda. Seeing none, a motion would be in order. Councilman Felder.
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to make a motion that all items on the consent agenda be accepted, placed on file, recommendations carried out, and resolutions adopted.
Motion by Councilman Felder, supported by Councilman Lamore, that all items on the consent agenda be accepted, placed on file, recommendations carried out, resolutions adopted. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore?
Yes.
Felder? Hayter? Stilgrave? Vining? Germaini? Mayor Clark.
Next item, please.
The next item on the agenda is under presentations, communications, and public hearings. It's item 4969, Sawyer Homestead Annual Report.
Thank you. Manager Robinson, is this a presentation or a communication this evening?
This is simply a communication pursuant to their lease agreement. The Sawyer Homestead is required to provide an annual financial statement, which they have done so. For your review, we attached it in this packet for the public and as well as your review.
Thank you. Any questions from council? I appreciate that the finance report was attached to that as well. It's my thanks to the Sawyer Homestead Group for their submitting this annual report. If there's no other comments, a motion will be in order. Well, I guess there's no motion. We just accept it as is. There's no motion. Sorry. Clerk's looking at me. Okay. Clerk, Councilman Lamore, you have a question?
No?
Okay. Next item, please.
The next item under council action, 4971, resolution approving Act 342, contract and publication of notice.
Thank you. Manager Robinson?
To ask the Assistant City Manager, Finance Director, Ed Sells, to explain what this this financial contract.
Thank you. Mr. Sell?
Good evening, everybody. For the record, Ed Sell, Assistant City Manager, Finance Director. So, basically what this is you're being asked to approve a debt issue for the wastewater system. It's a little different than what we would do for other city financings. Normally, like with the fire station or one you're probably going to be doing in the next month or so, where the city does it itself, you first adopt a notice, a resolution that sets a referendum period, and then you also adopt a bond authorizing resolution, and you do everything. With the wastewater system, because it's covers not only the city but also Frenchtown Township and Monroe Township, That's covered by a master agreement that was entered into in 2001 that basically says that any capital improvements that require debt financing are to be issued by the Monroe County Drain Commissioner. So what this resolution would do is it approves, number one, an agreement between the city and the Drain Commissioner to allow those bonds to be issued, and then also to allow the Drain Commissioner to manage the project at that point as well. But then it also does set a referendum period within the city as well, and both of the townships would also be adopting this agreement as well. It's being requested to authorize the financing up to $13 million. At this point, that's a high amount, we hope, because we're only at about a 60% design phase when we in the process of designing the improvements to be done under this. So we can't be real specific yet. So we've set it high to make sure we have enough there and we don't have to come back and do this over again. But originally this project was thought to be around $9.5 million, and Barry and his staff, along with some consultants, applied for financing through the state, the Clean Water State Revolving Fund program. So we're getting a really low interest rate on it. It's either 2.5% or 2.75%, depending on the term that we ultimately pick, which would be 20 or 30 years. And that term will be determined by how the bids look at the end of the project, and how once we get those bids, how the financing fits into the rate model for the wastewater system. So basically, you're being asked to adopt the resolution, which would approve the contract and also publish the notice to start the referendum period. Any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Sell regarding this resolution in the Act 342 contract?
There was some information in the fact sheet about what's being done with the funds and the financing, but if you have questions about that, Barry's your man. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sell. If there's no questions, motion, be in order. Councilman Lohr?
Yes, Your Honor, I make a motion to approve the resolution approving Act 342 contract and publication of notice.
Second.
Councilman Lamore, supported by Councilwoman Germaini, on item 4971, resolution approving Act 342 contract and publication of notice. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Hayter? Stilgrave? Vining? Germaini? Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
It's 4966, Woodland Beach Sanitary Sewer Lining Bid Award.
Manager Robinson.
Yes, Your Honor and Council, usually these type of items, since it's on, you approved a grant from the County of Monroe through the Monroe County Business Alliance from their ARPA funding back in September for $750. So you accepted that grant money. Well, this is actually supposed to go to the Sunset, the Woodland Beach Sanitary Sewer Lining bid. And so when we did our bids, the bids came back, and the low bidder we're looking for, it was Visu Sewer LLC out of Wisconsin at $874,640, which was actually 34.8% below what our engineer's estimate was going to be. So we're asking you to approve to move that contract for that would be for a total of $960,000, which includes a 10% contingency.
Thank you. Any questions for Manager Robinson from council? Questions or comments? If not, it's on the agenda for action. Councilwoman Germaini?
I'll make a motion, move to that a contract for the Woodland Beach Sanitary Sewer Lining Project be awarded to Visu Sewer LLC in the amount of $874,630, that a total of $960,000 be encumbered to include a 10% contingency, that the mayor and clerk treasurer be authorized to execute the contracts on behalf of the city, and that director of finance be authorized to set up any necessary accounts and make any necessary budget amendments.
Second. Motion by Councilwoman Germaini, supported by Councilman Lamore, on item 4966, the Woodland Beach Sanitary Sewer Lining Bid Award. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore?
Yes.
Felder? Hayter?
Yes.
Stillgrave? Vining? Jermaine? Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is item 4972, Downtown Development Authority Budget Amendment.
Thank you. Manager Robinson, any updates?
Yes, Your Honor, Counsel, the DDA, who you know is working on the old Monroe Optical Building at 13 West Front Street. And as the DDA in a work session held in July, they were making decisions on how far they were going to take in the renovations before they put it to market. And the DDA board has made the decision that they were going to continue with making sure they did the facade, all the windows, all those other changes they want. And they're asking, and they approved at their board to move $70,000 from their fund balance to the building improvements account at their October 16th meeting. So we're asking City Council to approve the DDA budget amendment, moving that $70,000 from their fund balance to the building improvement account.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Obviously, we approve their budget. When they make a request for an amendment or a change, it comes to us. Councilman Felder.
Yes. First, I want to say I'm not opposed to this project, but I do think that there's some points on it that probably need to be highlighted. As we all know, we've been, many of us who've been with the city for some time understand the development that's happened over the DDA over the course of the last decade or so, moving from on-the-ground projects to more development sort of activities, more capital improvement sort of activities in the downtown to try and promote spaces for businesses to move in. And this sort of white boxing is a very hands-on way of transitioning the economic development strategy of the DDA, and it's gathered some interest from our own economic development teams in terms of options that the city itself might want to explore with some of its properties and how they're offloaded. So as I believe that this is a project that I think is worthwhile, I think it also can potentially be a model or at least a study of the exploration of the feasibility of these sorts of projects in the future. Taking a building, white boxing it, promoting it for development, and then seeing if we can break even on the costs or make some money over a course of years by putting it back on the tax rolls at a higher value and a better use than it was when we took control of the property. I think that in a nutshell, sort of surrounds the city's economic development strategy that it's been engaging in these past couple of years. And we all know that the city owns a number of properties with which we're trying to promote and develop and turn over. So as we're pursuing this process, I think that we need to be cognizant of the financial feasibility of projects like this, and then assess them after the fact. It would be lovely to have an after-action report from the DDA on this project for us going forward to assess similar projects and if they could be approached in the same way. Was this an effective way to do the project? Were we able to get our taxes back within 10 years? Is this a long-term investment in the TIF funds that the DDA receives for its funding? We all want to accelerate the economic development that happens in our community, but we also want to make sure that development happens in a fiscally responsible manner. So,
Other questions or comments? I just want to add that one of the items that was within this discussion was right from the start, as we started thinking of this project, is the funds that were available for the tax capture for the Downtown Development Authority was well over what would be a reserve fund. And part of their, as I say, their middle name is development. And this, as Councilman Feller said, an opportunity that the board looked at. But this still maintains the base funding as a reserve fund within their fund balance to look at as they prepare for, again, what the DDA might do next year. One other item that was part of this project was the discussion on a fire line, extension of a fire line in front of the building, and just have that as an option availability for the downtown to start looking at how buildings could be fire suppression. And I think that that's going to be something that's going to come from the state in the future. So this was a way to step into that, to make it another item available for a developer or a business to move in, that if they wish to choose to do that, we're making it available. So that's my additional comments. If there's no further, a motion would be in order. Oh, Councilman Felder.
Yes, I'd like to make a move to approve the DDA budget amendment, moving $70,000 from fund balance to the building and building improvements account, resulting in an overall fiscal year 2024-25 budget increase from $214,000 to $284,000.
It's a motion by Councilman Felder, supported by Councilman Hayter on item 4972, the Downtown Development Authority budget amendment. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Hayter? Stilgrave? Vining? Jermaine?
Yes.
Clark?
Next item, please.
I have no further items.
Okay, council comments. It's November. Councilman Lamore.
Thank you, Your Honor. In lieu of it being Election Day tomorrow, I'm going to reserve my comments and just say good luck to all the candidates.
Councilman Felder.
Please vote tomorrow if you haven't already, and then remember that Veterans Day is coming up on the 11th, and we have a parade downtown here on the 9th. Is that, do I get that right? I think it is the
Yes.
9th, yes,
Yes.
okay. So it's another important holiday coming right up as well. That's all I have for this evening. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Councilman Hayter.
Just make sure that if you haven't voted yet, you exercise your right to vote, and good luck to all the candidates also.
Thank you. Councilwoman Stelgrave.
Here, get out and vote, and good luck to all the candidates.
Councilwoman Vining.
Yes, I hope to see everyone at the polls tomorrow. That's all I have.
Councilwoman Germaine.
Thank you. Yes, next week is Veterans Day on Monday, so thank the veteran for your freedoms and also get out the vote. It's very important, and good luck to everybody.
Very good. So my comments are the same. If you haven't voted, please do so. And I know that the clerk will have some additional maybe comments about that as she makes her comments. But next was the Veterans Day. It is correct that the parade is on Saturday, the 9th, from 3 p.m. and to 4 p.m. is the time it usually takes. And it's going to start at St. Mary's Park and walk south to Jones Avenue. So just so everybody has the routes of where they find their seats and pick, they know which way they're going. And again, Veterans Day on the 11th. Please, it's I'll say a national holiday, but it's a day of remembrance, of a day of thanking veterans. So through the weekend and through the Monday, if you see veterans, please thank them for their service and give them the recognition so well deserved for all the men and women that serve our country. Clerk LaVoy.
Yeah, I have my hands full with clerk. So just a reminder that the precincts open in the city of Monroe, all over the state and all over the country, basically at 7 a.m. in the morning. We will close at 8 p.m. If you're in line by 8 o'clock on election day, then you will be eligible to vote. If you need to register to vote and you're hearing this, please come to, and you live in the city, come to City Hall with proof of residency. That's really critical. And we'll get you registered to vote. And you will, if you have proof of residency, you will be able to vote in this election. We have all of our precincts open, so you should just be able to go where you always do. But if you have any questions, just call the clerk's office at 734-384-9140. And the team in the office at the clerk's office has done a really great job. They've worked very hard. I don't know if you noticed, but they snuck by as they were leaving. There have been many late nights, and I appreciate all of their efforts. And I think we're very well prepared. And the reason I say think is because obviously Election Day is like any really big event. You just never know what might come up. But we've prepared for all the contingencies that we could imagine, and we have things in place. So even if the unimaginable happens, we should be ready for it. So I just encourage everyone to come out to vote. I always think it's interesting that these big elections fall so close to Veterans Day, and while the timing is purely coincidental and it just happened, I think they reinforce each other. I want to thank the veterans and everyone who has worked really hard to make sure that we have the right to vote. And I want to thank everyone who has showed up and who will show up tomorrow. Elections only happen because people choose to participate. So thank you, and we'll be ready for you. And if you have any questions, you can always call me directly, 734-497-5319. That's my cell phone, and I will do my best to answer any questions that I receive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Vining?
The clerk brought something to my remembrance. I've heard several people in the last few weeks say that they wouldn't be voting because they were felons. So I just wanted to clarify with the clerk, felons have the right to vote in the state of Michigan, correct?
So if they've served their time, as long as they're not currently serving,
Incarcerated, yeah.
incarcerated, then yes, they can.
Okay, I just wanted to clear that up because we want
Yep.
everybody who can to come on down and vote. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. City Manager Robinson, comments?
The only comment again is Veterans Day on that Monday and City Hall will be closed that day. That's it.
Next is citizens' comments. Any comments from those present here this evening? Please step forward, state your name, and provide us with your jurisdiction of residence. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Tony Panza. I am the proud new owner of 111 East Front Street. My wife and I just won it during the auction on August 20th, and we're happy to hear that to be working with the city to get that building back up in order and let you know where our minds are, and that is to get that building up and running. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for being here,
Yes, sir.
advising us. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Other comments from those present here this evening?
Why you looking at me, man?
I'm looking at, there's somebody sitting behind you, Mr. James, but you're welcome to step up first.
Elliot James, 633 Stone Street. I've got two comments. On my street, which is Stone, that leads into Telegraph. When the toll place was open, they had a big sign there, and it covered the intersection. Since the toll place is gone, the sign's gone, and it's a very dark spot where you don't know where you're turning into. Can I have the city look into that?
Sure, Mr. Robinson's taking a note. I'm sure he'll speak with Mr. Lewis about what appropriate signage might be necessary or needed, but make sure you chat with him before you depart today, too.
Second thing is my bike path, walk path through the east side. I haven't had a chance to talk to the people that own the land yet. That's what is it, by the river? The owner that owns all that property. Well, anyway, I've been running so much for these elections. As soon as the election's over with, I will be talking to the Port Authority about the land. And I'll be getting back with the city council what I learned from that. So
Very good.
that would be helping us out quite a bit on how we're gonna do the walking path.
Sure.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. James.
One more thing, Mr. James, I'm a liaison to the Port Commission, and our meetings are at 8 a.m. on the third Wednesday of the month. So if you'd
That's
like,
impossible for me.
that's impossible. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be in dialysis at that time, from 5:30 to 10. So I won't be able to get away.
That's when they have their public meetings, and you're more than welcome to attend if you're available.
All right, thank you.
Other comments from those present here this evening? Further comments? Motion to adjourn. Motion by Councilwoman Moore, supported by Councilwoman Stelgrave to adjourn. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Lamore? Yes. Felder? Yes. Hader? Stelgrave?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine? Mayor Clark?
Yes.